Hey guys, I wanted to make a quick video to show you how I mounted my Muncie 4-speed transmission with a 10 spline input shaft to an LS motor, and I'm going to show you all the parts that I used to do that. This is the first part that I bought. I got this Bellhousing from Classic Industries. It's just like the original 621 style bell housings that came on some of the big blocks back in the 60s. But this one has all the correct bolt holes to mount up to the LS block, and even this one right here is missing because there's not a bolt hole there in the back of a LS style motor. This one, if you look in here when I bought it, let me flip this camera around. I had to clean up some of these with the die grinder when I got it because they didn't come out super clean. And then I just went ahead and shaved off this pivot stud here so I wouldn't have another hole in the back of this bell housing. I think I paid $269 for this, and I got that on Classic Industries, at Classic Industries, and I'll put the part number on. And one other thing you're going to need when you're doing this is the pilot bearing. The clutch kit I bought came with a pilot bearing, but I'm not going to use it. This is the LS7 style pilot bearing, and it fits right in here in this part of your, or the end of the crank. When you're doing that, when you're using this style pilot bearing, you don't have to drive it or leave it halfway sticking out. This one's made to go flush in here for the tip of that input shaft. So definitely would use the LS7 style pilot bushing instead of the one that goes deeper in the crank, because that one you have to leave sticking out a little bit in there. Okay, here's the flywheel that I'm using. This, if you search LS flywheels, usually a lot of the things that are going to come up is the Sachs 1050 flywheel, and that's what this one is. You know, some of the early videos I saw on YouTube said you can get these for about 50 bucks. I think I paid $90 for this. I didn't find anywhere online that had them that cheap anymore. If you're getting it from a local parts store, I got mine at Oreilly. The part number I think is NFW 1050, but it's the same flywheel you're going to get out of a mid-2000s Chevy truck that came with a standard transmission. And for the clutch and the pressure plate, a lot of the videos that I saw on YouTube just said to use a big block clutch. And the problem with the big block clutch is that the flywheels have a bigger machine surface than this flywheel here. So you end up with, you know, about this much of the clutch here that's not being used or not making contact, and just kind of wasted. So what I found, I did a lot of research, and nobody really put this on any website since everybody was just saying use a big block clutch. I found a 99 to 2000 Chevy Silverado clutch, and these came or mounted to this style flywheel anyway. So this works. They came with a 10 spline, which is what my transmission is, and even though this is a newer style clutch, the 10 splines all match up with my older style Muncie. So the reason that I went with this clutch is one, it matches the flywheel, so shouldn't have any problems there. And if you use the big block style clutch, the pressure plate, you're gonna have to take out these dowels here, punch these out. It is drilled in the back, so if you can see here, it shouldn't be too hard to get a punch in there and punch them out. But another problem that you run into is that your pressure plate, the bolt holes on the pressure plate, some of them you have to drill out to use the old style flywheel. If you're using this style flywheel, let's see if I can get this lined up right. You don't have to punch out those dowel rods, and the dowel rods match up with the flywheel, so everything stays in the right spot. Let me see if I can get this where it needs to go. So if you see there, it lines up on the dowel pins. The bolt holes are the right size. and everything matches up. So the reason I'm using this, one is that the clutch matches up with the flywheel, and second, I get to keep these dowel pins in here. My bolts line up and I don't have to drill out my pressure plate holes here for these bolts, because the standard ones are a little bigger than the metric size that this uses. So hopefully this helps you out. I'll show you, this is the Muncie 4-speed that I bought. I got this about a year ago. Found it on Craigslist for about 500 bucks. And then I'm using this hydraulic throwout bearing from Speedway motors. But these are all the parts. I will put the part numbers and everything on there for you. So hopefully this helps you out if you want to do the same kind of setup for your LS style engine with a Muncie 4-speed and the 10 spline input shaft. Thanks for watching.